Microsoft unveiled a wide range of new hardware products today, including its first ever laptop called the Surface Book and a new Surface Pro 4, a new Lumia phones, and a new version of its band fitness wearable. Nathan Oliveris-Giles is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and he's joining us today to talk about this story and also two more. So I want to welcome you to the show, Nathan.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm so glad you're here because you wrote on 3 of our top stories. And so, again, we're going to have you on for half the show. So let's start with the Surface Book. I thought this was the biggest surprise. And in fact, part of the surprise was the fact that they actually had a surprise. They actually have a hardware product, a major product, a huge product that's shipping this month that nobody heard a peep about. So tell us about this Surface Book laptop.
Yeah, it was, like you said, it was a total surprise. It's the first time that Microsoft's ever designed and built a laptop in-house. It has the same magnesium body that you're going to find on the Surface tablets. And it actually, the screen is detachable from the keyboard base itself. So it still is kind of that hybrid tablet laptop deal. But really what Microsoft said is they're building this to have a really great typing experience. They said it's the best typing experience ever. You know, I mean, they were really talking it up, said it's the ultimate laptop. And we'll see when we actually get it into test. But it has a 13.5-inch display. And they said it would be twice as fast as Apple's MacBook Pro, which is a pretty lofty claim considering that is Apple's top-of-the-line laptop. So, I mean, they're really talking a big game here.
Hey, Nathan, did they offer any clues in terms of pricing? I'm really curious as to how this is going to compare with Apple's type of premium pricing.
You know, they really didn't say much. They said it was going to start at $14.99 and up, but they didn't say what the options would be, you know, where things would top out in terms of, you know, graphics processing, RAM, storage, all of these sorts of actually genuinely important factors when you consider what sort of laptop you want and how it will perform. It just says it's going to start $14.99, which is pretty much on par with what you would pay for in, you know, kind of like a mid-range Apple laptop. So I gotta, if it's good, if they're gonna have the performance to be twice as fast as the best of what Apple's offering, I feel it's got to be pretty expensive. So I think it's going to go up from there, but we'll see. They haven't really talked in detail about that.
Now, of course, the Surface Pro line is a tablet with an attachable keyboard, and along they come with the Surface Book, which is a tablet with an attachable keyboard. What's the difference between a Surface Pro 4, for example, which they also announced today, and the Surface Book?
Well, you know, that's a great question. It's funny, the Surface for years has been pitched as the tablet that can replace your laptop. And now we have a laptop that could kind of replace your laptop and your tablet hybrid. It's getting a little bit murky, and Microsoft isn't making it that clear. But the difference really, I guess, would be, what do you want? Do you want primarily kind of a bigger, bulkier, thicker device, a heavier device that you're going to have to carry around? It's going to have a great typing experience, but it's going to be more of a laptop first. That really is going to be the Surface Book. If you want something that's really, by default, a tablet first with kind of an okay typing experience, then the Surface Pro 4 is probably going to be what you're going for. I mean, the Surface Pro has its detachable keyboard, but it's never been a great typing experience. You put it on your lap and it kind of wobbles around and it never really feels that great. It's never as good as a laptop. So basically, they got a lot of feedback from consumers saying, hey, we want something that genuinely types well, but has the touchscreen, can still use the stylus, and now we have the Surface Book. So in a way, it's kind of responding to the fact that the Surface Pro has never really been a good laptop, even though you could technically use it in that way.
They used to say that it was lappable, meaning you put it in your lap and just have it balancing on your legs. But now that they have a real laptop, of course, this is going to be better for putting in your lap. I was intrigued. Generally speaking, it's a lot more powerful, as you mentioned. But I was intrigued by the fact that it has a powerful graphics processor that's actually in the keyboard part. So when you detach the screen from the keyboard, you lose the graphics processing. And in fact, that, you know, so theoretically, the power of it actually steps down to the power of a tablet. And when you plug it into the keyboard, it steps up to the power of a desktop. Is that unusual in the industry to actually have a graphics processor in the keyboard for a convertible like this?
Well, you know, for a convertible, yeah, but for a laptop, no, right? I mean, in laptops, you know, it's traditional that the processor, the graphics, the storage, everything is beneath the keyboard. So it's a pretty standard way to go about it. As far as for convertibles and hybrid devices, it's still kind of early days, and you see a little bit of everything nowadays. But really, I think what this might actually be motivated by is the simple fact that you want a thin display. You want to have something that as lightweight you can carry around, you're going to have to make it as felt as possible, and you just can't pack performance in there, and fans and all the things necessary to handle massive graphics processing like they're promising, right? So that's got to go somewhere, and you don't want to carry around just a gigantic, thick tablet. So it's got to go on the keyboard. It's just kind of an engineering issue.
Hey, Nathan, in terms of engineering, let's talk about how the user interacts with the Surface Book. You talked a little bit about a great keyboard. I'm assuming the touch interface will also be quite good, but is there also a new pen device coming out with this? And does it matter, quite frankly?
Does the pen matter? Well, I guess it depends on who you are. I like to draw. I'm kind of a little bit of an artist on the side, and I've never really ever gotten into using the Surface Pen. It's just never been a great experience for me. Of course, Microsoft will tell you that engineers and architects and artists all day are using these things. I just never found it myself. There is, in fact, a new Surface Pen, and that is going to be sold with both devices. And they say that it's the best pen they've ever made. It's going to have 1,024 different pressure points of sensitivity, so it should be pretty responsive. They say the latency is really far down, and it'll have interchangeable tips that'll make it feel more like an actual analog, offline pen or pencil. Now, we'll see if it actually works that way, because when you're, putting a piece of plastic up to a piece of glass, it's slippery. It's just kind of the way it is. So we'll see how much resistance there actually is. This new pen also has a digital eraser on it for the first time. And it'll attach to both the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book magnetically. So there's no actual physical loop or anything like that, which sounds pretty good, but I'm a little weary that as soon as you put it in your bag, it's going to fall off and you're going to lose it. So we'll see how it actually works in practice. But yep, there's a new pen to go with everything.
And ironically, the Microsoft Pen has an eraser, as you said, and the Apple Pencil does not. You'd think a pencil would have an eraser. This suggests to me also that there's a new category afoot here, and the leaders are, of course, Microsoft now with the Surface Book, Apple with its iPad Pro, and Google rolled out a Pixel C, which is a Android-powered laptop that I think is more or less in the same category. I think what we're seeing here is a new world where people are using essentially tablets with real keyboards, and that's the main usage model. And in the case of this and the Apple device, pens as well as an option. So I think this is a new kind of category that's on the high end. For a while, the hot category was the low end, the smaller tablets. And now I think this is a whole new thing where you don't need a laptop at all. You don't need a desktop at all. You can replace all that with either the Microsoft Surface Book or an Apple iPad Pro. Maybe you can do it with the Android-powered Pixel C. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about their phones. They announced the Lumia 950 and Lumia 950 XL. What's interesting or new in these phones?
Well, the biggest, most interesting aspect is what Microsoft is calling Continuum. So with both of these phones, you can plug them into a dock, and then you can plug that dock into a computer monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and actually use your phone as a PC.
And you're referring, of course, to the optional Microsoft Display Dock, which that was introduced today, right? That's a new product introduced today.
Yep, they introduced the dock today. They haven't said how much that dock is going to cost or when it's going to go on sale, but they said that this dock will be needed to actually use your phone to connect to that monitor, keyboard, and mouse to use it as an actual PC. Now, will it be a good performing PC? Will it be fast? What sort of PC experience will it be? Will it be like using an oversized netbook? We don't really know. All they showed on stage was using Office, which is great and productive, but fairly lightweight. I mean, they weren't, editing a movie or, using Adobe software on there, anything super intensive. It's fairly lightweight, but nonetheless, that is a pretty appealing idea to a lot of business users, that this one device could be your one computer. Of course, you have to buy all that stuff separately, and we'll see how much that costs. Aside from that, it's a pretty standard phone these days. It has the regular 950 has a 5.2-inch display. The 950 XL has a 5.7-inch display, so a little bit larger, almost phablet territory, but not quite. Both are going to have OLED screens with a nice QHD high-resolution display. They're running new Qualcomm Snapdragon processors, 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage. So pretty standard, not really pushing the bar too far. That's kind of what you'd expect to get from a high-end Android phone these days. It's literally the same specs. But one thing that Nokia in the past and Microsoft lately with Lumia phones has always done really, really well is the camera. And Microsoft says that this is going to have the best camera of any Windows phone thus far. It's going to have a 20 megapixel camera with a 3 LED flash and optical image stabilization. So, that's something to look forward to.
Hey, can you tell us a little bit more about the dock in terms of, will the dock only work with the Lumia 950 and the 950 XL, or will it work with other smartphones out there?
Well, as of now, Microsoft is saying that it's just working with the 950 and 950 XL, but Continuum is something that they're trying to push forward as the future of their Windows Phone platform. So future Lumia phones might be able to connect into it, but you're not going to be able to plug an iPhone or an Android phone and get anything similar to that. This is really about Microsoft's bespoke devices, their Lumia devices. This is kind of like what Google does with their Nexus phones. They have a really small niche market that they're trying to reach. They're going to charge a decent price, a fair price, but this isn't for the mass market. But this is a place where they can show off cutting edge technologies and hopefully get some other hardware partners to adopt this stuff and put this into their phones. So right now, it's just about Microsoft's Lumia phones. It's just about these two Lumia phones. And in the future, we'll see where things go from here. Microsoft is pushing it as kind of like this idea that in the future, your phone will be so powerful, it can be your PC. And this is their first attempt to actually bring that into reality.
And of course, the phones take 4K video, which is becoming a trend and will soon be standard on the high and mid-range phones, I imagine. There's also some red meat in here for the super geeks. One of the most interesting of which is liquid cooling for the processor. That's a new one for a smartphone, as far as I'm aware. And the high-end Lumia 950 XL starts at $649 unlocked.